as you can see here, this is the catalog that I have, and to put it to perspective, this is kind of similar to what we see in Netflix. You have a title, you have a small description of what it is. So if I scroll down, I see that I have the similar kind of looking blueprints multiple times. And I see that if I want to see what it is, I see that one is a hybrid cloud deployment. The other one is a pre-production application that's deployed in the private cloud infrastructure, and same is done only in Azure. So you do have all these different things. Now, as an end user, all I need to do to get access to this environment, say, for example, if I need it, and as you can see, it's currently reserved by me, is I just click the button reserve, and it's going to pop up a window that gives me multiple options. So let's go to the advanced tab view. I just give it a name. I call it my application 2. I can give it any name I want. We will go through these individual features in a quick minute, but let's just deploy it and see how easy it is. So right now I'm going to be deploying it in vCenter. I just hit reserve. And again, this is an environment that it showed that I'm already using. So it doesn't really stop me. Say, for example, if it's a virtual environment that's deployed using vCenter, cloud technologies and stuff, I don't have to worry about just deploying it once. I can share the same blueprint with multiple people so that, you know, everything is deployed at the same time. Now, let's quickly take a look at what we have here. So we have a physical Cisco Nexus switch. I have few applications that are running, and that are, as you can see from the output window at the bottom, everything is getting created as we speak. So nothing is left as a zombie process at the end of it. That's one of the beautiful things with this solution, is at the end of it, any virtual and cloud resources are torn down so that you don't have anything zombie that's running around. Now, as you can see, there are no IP addresses and things just started to pop up. This is because all the connections, the network connectivity, the data loading, creating VMs, everything is done once the user makes the reservation. So here it says it might take an estimated up to 3 minutes, but as you can see, we have already deployed all our VMs, my web applications 1, 2, and 3, my enterprise application that's created from a template, my JMeter SQL server. So everything is created. Now it also is giving all the IP addresses to these individual components. And you also probably saw that during the demo, we have changed from a solid, from the dotted lines to a solid line, which means the connectivity is established. Now you see that the setup is finished successfully. It probably took a minute, less than 2 minutes for sure. So you have your entire application ready to be used and deployed on the click of a button. It's as simple and as easy as that. As you can see, this is my application, and for this part of the demo, we are going to be using 2 applications to look at different options I might have. So for the first one, as you see, I have a hybrid environment. I have access to, say, for example, the physical devices, the virtual instances, and some of the servers and applications that we spun up. Now, what if I want to access the application or the physical device? I don't have to go use PuTTY. I don't have to go use terminal to get access to this. I don't have to install vSphere. I don't have to request IT to give me the password for the vSphere to gain access to my applications that I have launched at this point. All I need to do is go here, and in the options tab that we see, I have different options. I can RDP, I can SSH, or I can do a web console. And because the application that we deployed right now is a web application, I'm going to hit web and boom, done. So we have logged into, or we have gained access to the web application without having to worry about the complex processes and approval underneath. Now, same is the case with my physical devices. I have my Cisco switch. I just go here and hit SSH. and boom, done. So I now gained access to my physical Cisco switch. It's as simple as that. And some of the actions that we see here is restoring and taking a snapshot of the sandbox and restoring it. So the way it works is, now I've made changes to the physical devices. I've made some code changes to my application. I'm not going to be getting back to this for the next couple of weeks till my next sprint. What do? I just take a snapshot. Once I hit this, it's going to take a snapshot, like a literal snapshot of your current environment, the configurations, the commands, everything that's configured underneath, and saves it. So the next time you come back, all you need to do is hit restore. Okay, so I go here and I give the version. I can give it a name, a version, and I can save this to my FTP server, depending on my company policies. I can save it at a specific location and I can hit run. And once I hit run, it is going to go back to that version of the snapshot, again, with the name or the version, and restore it for you. So this way, you can literally continue from where you left off rather than starting from scratch. For this part of the demo, we are going to be taking a very quick tour of some of the options I have to make my reservation. So again, let's select one of these. We are not going to be making the actual reservation, but just to walk through some of the options I have. So let's go to the advanced options. So right off the bat, as you can see on top of the screen, you can have a regular sandbox or a persistent sandbox. A persistent sandbox typically is used for, say, for example, production environments where you do not want the environment to be torn down. Now, the second one is how long you want the reservation for. Do I want it for 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 days, 10 days? It's customizable. And the third one is reoccurrence. This is extremely helpful if, say, for example, I'm running a cron job, I'm running a regression. So if I know that I would be using the exact same environment at, say, for example, between 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. every Saturday to run my cron jobs, all I have to do is I can just say, I need it to run every Saturday, and I can just select the time between 5 a.m. for 2 hours or 2.5 hours, and I can give it how long I want it for. How long I want the reservation, the reoccurrence to run for. So this way, I can make sure that I have the access to it no matter what. Now, the other one is permitted users. So this is extremely helpful when you're collaborating. So I'm trying to reproduce a customer issue. And one of the first things that a developer asks me once I hit it is, can you reproduce the issue for me again? So what I can do with this is I can add, let's see, yeah. So Brent's on I can add Brent as a permitted user. So the next time Brent logs in, he'd be able to see this specific topology within his own environment. So he can get access to it right away without having to ask me. Now, this is a small thing, termination protection. So if I'm working on an important thing, I want to make sure that no one accidentally deletes it while the reservation is on. So this is just the termination protection. And we are going to take a look at this specific part briefly in a quick second. So these are nothing but some of the options I have. So I can choose the database version I want. Say if I have customer specific databases, I can have them in here, and I can have multiple deployment paths. So this is really helpful when you want to include new technologies or you want to onboard new technologies underneath, but it takes a lot of time and effort to make sure all the users are trained on it. So if I add, say, for example, GCP as one of my cloud providers, I can deploy it easily, give it as an option without having to teach all the end users how to deploy it or how to deploy an instance or an application using GCP. There are many instances when multiple users should be able to access the same exact environment at the same time. Now, as you can see here, I have this blueprint that says private cloud deployment that's currently reserved by me. So I want to deploy it again. And it's the same thing if someone else wants to do it. So I just hit the button, the reserve button. Let's wait for it to pop up, and I can just give it any name. I'm going to call it application 2. I'm not going to change anything, but instead of vCenter, I want to deploy it, say, for example, on AWS, and I want to do it on database version 2. And again, it's the same physical blueprint, but with different parameters than what my previous one might be loaded with. I just hit the reserve button, and boom, done. So as you can see, I'm now deploying the exact same blueprint all over again. So with different parameters. So again, as I was saying before, it can be a different person, a different user, it's the same thing. Now, while this is happening, let's also quickly take a look at conflict resolution. Now, there are some instances where there are resources that are tied down. So it may be a physical switch, it may be, a traffic generator port, or, it may be a load balancer, or anything that's really important, which can only be used by one user at a time. So in this topology, we have something similar where we have a reservation, we are going to run into a different a reservation conflict. So now as a user, I have already reserved it. Now, same as the previous case, it doesn't matter if it's the same user or a different user, the UX is going to be the same. Now, if I'm planning to deploy this, it is going to fail. But the more important thing for me as an end user is I want to know when I can start using it. So I'm going to call this conflict resolution. Okay, and I'm going to hit reserve. And as I was saying, it is going to fail. And once it fails, as an end user, it gives me the most important thing I want to know. When is the next available time slot for me to use it? So it says there are 6 conflicts, and it gives me the next available time slot. It says I'm looking to reserve it for 2 hours, and the next available time slot is between 2:46 p.m. to 4:58 p.m. So this way, I can choose to make the reservation again. So I'm making a reservation ahead of time so that if someone else wants to use it, and if it contradicts with this time, it's going to fail for them. So this way I can make much better and efficient use of my resources so that they can be shared across different users, different teams, without having to worry about resources not being used properly. Now for this part of the demo, we are going to quickly take a look at how do I create a blueprint from scratch. In one of our previous demos, we did discuss what a blueprint is. Blueprint, again, just to refresh, is nothing but a template. So it's your environment that you make it available for the end users. Now I go here, I click on create a blueprint, and it's going to give me a blank canvas. So as you can see, I have multiple options. I can browse apps services, I can add it from templates, or I can get to my inventory and browse. So I hit browse on my inventory. It's very simple. So these are the resources that are already added to CloudShell by installing the shells and adding all these resources using their IP addresses or DNS names. So all I have to do is, again, for this specific blueprint, we are going to be creating a hybrid infrastructure, which consists of physical infrastructure as well as some virtual machines that are going to be part of our blueprint. Now I go to the folder that has some of the physical infrastructure I need. So as you can see, I have my Cisco Catalyst physical switch. I just drag and drop it, and boom, it's added. And as you can see, I have all the IP addresses and stuff that are here associated with that. I also add a Juniper EX router, EX switch, apologize. And then let's quickly go and add a couple of virtual infrastructure. So I go here, I scroll down, I have my folder that's called virtual infrastructure. And once I go here, as you can see, I have a bunch of Linux VMs, Ixia VMs, my firewall, my source firewall, and Windows VMs, and a virtual MX router as well. So I'm going to be adding a Windows VM, a source firewall, and a Linux VM. And again, we are not trying to accomplish anything. Don't look at this and say, what is it trying to do with this blueprint? It's just to show how easy is it for you to create a blueprint. And if I have any apps and services, like as you can see, my networking component of it, my mock apps, I can just go here and add them. Now I have all these resources, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect these resources. So let's assume my Windows VM is the end user that's connected through the firewall, and Linux VM is the final application that we are trying to connect to. So if this is the path I have, so this is a connection. Again, because this is a VM and this is the firewall, this is going to be a virtual connection that's already made. And same is the case here. So for all the physical resources, it is quickly going to take a look at how are my target source and destination connected. So I make a connection between these two. And because we do not have any available ports, it just did not add. And these are the physical ports. So I'm just saying, okay, how are these physically connected? And if there are multiple ports, I can actually add multiple ports to it. There you go. So right now I have added 2 connections between these 2 devices. I hit save, and this connection is done. So now, as you can see, this is how easy it is to create a blueprint. I mean, we've stopped it midway. We have not gone through the whole connections. This is just to give an idea how to create a mock blueprint. Now, if I want to, again, this is a draft blueprint because we are still working on it. Now I can create a draft of this so that I can continue working on it going forward. I can save it as a copy. I can save it as a template so that it can be used as a mock for to create other blueprints, which we are going to talk for the next part of our demo. Or I can just make this public. I can just say, now this is the final blueprint, make it available for all the users. We are going to see how to create a blueprint from a template. The previous video, we have seen how to create a blueprint from scratch. Now, this is predominantly useful when the blueprint creators or architects wants to create a template and make it available for the end users so that they can tweak and modify to make their own blueprints. Now, I click on Create Blueprint. As you can see, I have multiple templates that are available to me, all the way from CloudShell Sandbox to a dev test baseline to an empty blueprint, the cybersecurity, and all these different options. So I'm going to be concentrating on, say, for example, a cybersecurity template. So this is going to pop up, as you can see, a template. So where I don't have to worry about a huge chunk of my resources, all the way from LAMP stacks to web servers to multiple VMs and servers. So all I have to do at this point is, if I want, I can add a resource. And if I'm testing an end application, which is deployed as a VM, I can just go here, click on my VM, and drag and drop the VMs that I need that I'm going to be testing. So let's assume I have 2 VMs that I'm testing. So I just use them here, close. And if there is something important, all the information can also be made available to the end user. So all I need to do at this point is, so this is the networking component of it, the VLAN auto. So I just make the connections between this and, say, for example, the Windows Server VM. So, and again, because we have virtual connectivity, it shows up as a dotted line where the physical connectivity is shown as a physical line. So again, as simple as that, I can create my own template from this. So either I can, as I said, create my own template, or I can make a blueprint that I can make it available for the end user. As you can see, once I hit the Insights tab, I see multiple options I see on the side. And again, all these options are included in CloudShell out of the box. CloudShell also provides customized dashboards, but for this part of the demo, let's concentrate on out-of-the-box dashboards. So the first one you see is it gives you a glimpse of the lab utilization over time, how many sandboxes have launched, basically a glimpse of your entire lab right off the bat. Now let's quickly take a look at a couple of the out-of-the-box dashboards. So as you can see now, we are taking a look at our resource utilization. So the resource utilization is something that shows how the physical infrastructure is being used within the lab. Everything is shown as a family with your Cisco routers, traffic generators, Juniper routers, etc., etc. Also, individual resources are shown on the side. As you can see, how many sandboxes is it being used in, what's the maximum daily utilization, etc. I can also take a look at the virtual infrastructure from the inventory tab. So as you can see, I have Linux machines, Windows machines, and virtual Juniper routers, all of them which are shown on the side, and I have multiple pages of this inventory. And before we move on to the final part, let's also quickly take a look at the users. So it shows me how many users have launched, how many sandboxes, etc., etc. Same is the case with blueprints. So it shows me a quick glimpse of how many blueprints have been launched, what is the total usage, and all those different things, and how the resources are being used with respect to these blueprints. Now, CloudShell also gives me the ability to edit all these different tabs. So if I want to see it for a specific user on the blueprint, I can do it. And it also lets me toggle the time, the domains, and all these different things. So CloudShell provides great insights into how the lab is being used out of the box. And this provides a very good way for you to plan your lab infrastructure. Thank you. So we have seen the out-of-the-box dashboards that CloudShell provides till now, but CloudShell also provides you, the users, with the ability to have customized dashboards. This is really helpful when you want to have custom dashboards for specific resources, specific users, or specific blueprints. You can also do everything again, as you can see on the side, all the way from time, resources, utilization, users, etc. This provides you a very easy way to have your own custom reports that can be downloaded in CSV, or take screenshots that can be used for demos and presentations higher up. Thank you.